What's up, guys? Welcome to Daily Dose of Reddit. This is your host that is proud of himself for not binge watching a show for once. Yeah, it was Dave. I actually took my time with it, and I'm happy I did, because that's new. Captain Zach, and today's subreddit is r/StoriesAboutKevin. Alright, this one's called Kavina and the Leeches. I have a friend who I've been waiting to share on this sub for a long time now. We're not really friends anymore because she's a choosing beggar as well, but that doesn't stop her from reaching out to me a couple times a week, even though the answer is always no. I started hanging out with Kavina my junior year of high school. She was really close with my best friend of 10 years, and once my best friend moved away, I was looking for people with similar interests. I'm not sure how I even started hanging out with Kavina and her friends, but she roped me into her hectic life somehow. I could go on for hours about their stupidity, but I'll share the highlights with all of you. Kavina hasn't had a job in years. She worked at a pizza place for a month until she got fired, and she tries to give me job advice all the time still. That was her only job. She tells people her money comes from sugar daddies, but she always asks me for a ride to pick up money from her mom's house. She doesn't know how to open up a bank account, so she asked to use mine to get money from a sugar daddy she met on Instagram. Keep in mind, she is over 18 at this point and was older than me. I said no, of course, but she is adamant on relying on old men she finds on Instagram, who always get pictures from her, then ghost her. She even has them follow me. I really don't know why. For the past few months, she's been mentioning all her sugar daddies to me, but has yet to receive money from one. I'm pretty sure she just sends them whatever they want to see and then expects them to give her money. That's where this story gets facepalm worthy. She's extremely lazy and addicted to pills and coke. I don't know how because she's never had money. So she absolutely refuses to work, like I mentioned. It got to the point where she was asking anybody she knew for a prepaid Visa gift card that let you take out money, because she wanted to connect it to Cash App to get money from a sugar daddy. I don't know why she couldn't get one herself, but she really wanted someone's used card. I told her I had an empty one that didn't do ATM withdrawals, and she flipped and asked why someone would use one that didn't offer withdrawals. So she didn't get a Visa gift card. One of her sugar daddies, who is an absolute legend by the way, must have realized how dense she can be and used it to his advantage. After she couldn't get a debit card, I don't think she even tried to be honest, or a Visa gift card, he told her he'd be able to send her money on a Steam card, and told her it worked exactly like a debit card, but that she'd have to pay $20 up front to activate it. When she was told this, she was in the car with her closest friend, Kevin, and my close friend who knows her, Heather. She promised Kevin $200 of the sugar daddy's money if Kevin bought her the Steam card, because she's broke. Kevin, who plays video games, was doubtful at first because he knows what Steam is, but she manipulated him into buying it. The entire time, Heather was telling Kavina what a Steam card was, explaining that it was a gift card, trying to open her eyes. But once Kavina has her mind on something, she gets it. Kevin bought her the $20 Steam gift card, she sent the code to her sugar daddy, then she was blocked and never heard from him again. Of course, she promised Kevin she'd pay back the money she owed him for the Steam card, but she hasn't yet and never will. Don't get the idea that Kevin is the victim though. Oh no, he's been friends with Kavina for years and is 4 years older than her. They're a package deal, and if anything, Kavina learned her ways from Kevin. Kevin has not held down a job either and is currently homeless. He tries to sell drugs occasionally, but he's even bad at doing that. I'll show you guys more of what he's like. Zane is Kavina's boyfriend and Kevin's best friend. Zane is also a Kevin, but this story would be way too confusing by calling him that. 2. I was bored one day with my boyfriend when I get a call from Kavina. She misses me and wants to hang out with me. Sounds better than doing nothing, so my boyfriend and I agree. We know by now though, but unfortunately didn't back then, that there is always a catch when a leech says, "We should hang out," and "I miss you." We pick her up and she suggests hanging out with Zane, her boyfriend, because she doesn't want to third wheel. And might as well get Kevin, right? Since then, the whole group would be together without him, and that's not fair. So we get everybody, we're driving towards my house to find something to do, and Kevin says, "Hey, can you take me to the loan shop, right?" In a tone that told me I should have already known that. Immediately, I know this is gonna be one of those days where I'm tricked into picking them up to have a good time, when really Kavina lied and told them I'd be able to bring them to all their errands and responsibilities. I drop Kevin off at the loan place. He tells me not to leave because it will be quick. 2 hours later, the four of us are soaked in sweat in my car with leather seats and no AC. Kevin comes back out. Happily, he instructs my miserable ass to drive him to cash his loan, then to a used car lot. He cashes his loan, and I start bringing him to my car when he tells me I'm going the wrong way. Keep in mind, we are down the street from the house I'd lived in for over 12 years at this point. I knew where 4 used car shops were within 5 minutes of my house. I try arguing with him, but he's adamant and has anger issues, so he starts getting frustrated with me to the point where I assume he knows what he's talking about and that maybe I forgot about another car place nearby. I drive 10 more minutes past the rest of the car lots before he realizes, "Oh yeah, you're right, they were back there." I turn the car back around and realize he might not know anything about buying cars. He is almost 5 years older than me, grew up in the same area as I did, yet he didn't even realize we passed 4 used car lots that have always been there. I ask him how much his loan was for. $1,000. Decent. So how much do you have total to spend on a car? $1,000? You realize this piece of crap car I'm driving was $1,000, and it's on its last legs, right? I don't even have AC or radio. It's gonna be hard to get a nice car for that price. Before this, he was talking about all the options he had and what kind of car he wanted, as if he could be choosy. "I don't need to worry about that right now. These places we're going to have $0 down payments." I don't know much about buying cars, especially used, so I didn't argue this time. We pulled up to a few car lots, and none of them had anything near his price range at all, especially not $0 down. This is when I dared to ask, "Kevin, don't you have a really nice, almost brand new Volkswagen Jetta parked at your mom's house?" "Yeah, but I can't drive it. The cops remember me in it. They'll pull me over." "So why not sell it and use the money you make, plus the loan, to buy yourself a different car?" "It has transmission issues. I can't do that." Zane says, "You just don't understand, OP. He knows what he's doing." "I know what I'm doing. I don't need to sell the car." Kevin still doesn't have a car. One last story, because this one is too ridiculous to even sound true. If you're still reading, thank you, and my bad about the length of this entire post. No apologies necessary, it's enjoyable. 3. I mentioned Zane above once or twice, and I still had faith in him for a while, thinking he was smarter than Kevin and Kavina. No. If anything, Zane is worse. Zane liked to go car hopping. A few months back, he would go to a trailer park near his house at the same time every night and check if every car was unlocked. At some point, obviously, people started catching on that their cars were being stolen from. He opened up to me when I was giving him a ride somewhere. He admitted to all the car hopping and bragged to me about the things he'd find. I told him straight up how stupid that was and told him to stop before he got into serious trouble. He'd stolen a flat-screen TV out of someone's trunk at this point. He told me he knew what he was doing and to stop worrying. The next night, Zane went to his usual spot after midnight. I'm not going to include every detail because at this point I've already said too much. Basically, Zane found $20,000+ in cash in somebody's trunk in the trailer park he would frequent. He took it, all of it, and he thought the best way to get rid of it and stay under the radar was to spend it. He bought himself many pairs of True Religion jeans, designer clothes, 2 dirt bikes, a new-ish BMW, and much more. All the money was gone in a month. Keep in mind, he's the one with a very broke girlfriend and a homeless best friend. But he spent all the money on things he wanted. He didn't even have a driver's license. He got pulled over in his BMW almost every day. The police would question how he had a nicer car than his mom. This is the best and worst part. After he spent most of that money, he went back to the trailer parks every night to go car hopping. Eventually, he was caught red-handed with a new phone he stole, arrested, and my friends were begging me to take them to bail him out. I showed up at his house to pick them up, investigators showed up, his house was searched for hours while I was stuck there, and I wasted yet another day by thinking I was being a good friend for leaving the house for them. Don't be friends with Kevins. Honestly, this story could have been written by at least 3 different people that I know. Like, I swear to God, okay? I went to Montgomery High School in Montgomery, Texas. Actually, I went to 3 different high schools, but that's the one I graduated from, okay? Anyways, like, every single day I'd hear people talking about car hopping and how they'd go to, like, the freaking Renaissance Festival and just freaking loot people's cars. By the way, the Renaissance Festival is by far the coolest place I've ever been. So much detail and just everyone's so dedicated to just, it's so cool. And there was this awesome tavern. It was so, like, authentic. Everyone was banging their drinks on the thing. And, like, these ladies were, like, doing rhymes and dissing people and complimenting people at the same time. And it was so amazing. And I tipped them with some gold doubloons that I bought from another place in the Renaissance Festival. It was so cool. It was so cool. But anyways, gosh, people need to find better things to do than to car hop. That's so stupid, man. Stealing in general is stupid. Unless you're stealing girls' hearts, which I do all the time. I just need to figure out how to keep the bugs away. This story's called Kavina Navigates Academia. Various details changed in this story for identifiability reasons. However, the story itself is upsettingly real. Kavina is an older cousin of mine, 50s to 60s, who has an identical twin sister. She's not the focus of the story, but she'll play a role in it. Let's call her Kavette. Kavette is a therapist of many years and has enjoyed a relatively successful career. How this is possible remains an utter mystery to me, as she specializes in working with cross-cultural clients and once argued with me for an hour trying to convince me that India was in South America. I could write loads more about Kavette and her dubious credentials as a therapist, but I'd have to make a full-time job of posting to Reddit. Suffice to say for now that Kavette is a well-established therapist, and Kavina wants very much to follow in her sister's footsteps. She fumbles her way through a bachelor's degree as an adult and starts the process of applying for her master's degree. And thus, our story begins. One day, Kavette calls me up and says she's concerned about Kavina's application. She claims that Kavina is listing Kavette as a reference, something which she has reluctantly agreed to. She wants me to call Kavina up and persuade her that this is a bad idea. I'm not sure I can persuade her, as reason is not her strong suit, but I give it a chance anyway. After addressing her sister's concerns, Kavina argues with me, saying that the dean has told her that including her sister as a reference is permissible. I try to reason with her, saying permissible is not the same as desirable. She'll likely be laughed straight out of the admissions process with a reference from her twin sister. And that's when she drops the bomb. Not to worry. She's asked Kavette not to mention that she's family in the application. Problem solved. After an embarrassingly long time, Kavette and I managed to convince her that this strategy is, at best, misleading, and at worst, legally actionable. She begrudgingly accepts my advice and instead opts for a reference from a professor. In some bizarre twist of fate, she manages to get accepted into the program. Smooth sailing for a few months afterwards, until her first term paper was due. Kavina is over my house at a family gathering, and has brought her paper over. She received a poor grade, and is asking the family for advice on how to fix it. I am a graduate student who's taught a writing course in the past, and figured, what the hell, let's give this a shot. I take a quick glance over the paper and, in my politest tone, inform her that I cannot edit her essay as written, as there are simply too many formatting problems. My grandmother, a retired lawyer with a few more brains to pick than the sisters Kevin, or me for that matter, the woman's pretty sharp, asks me why I can't just ignore the formatting issues for now and focus on the writing. In response, I simply hand her the paper, watched her concerned expression sink into utter, abject horror. What I handed to her could hardly be called an essay. The sentences she had written, few and far between as they were spread out whole pages apart and often broken apart mid-phrase. Page numbers littered random spots across each page and only rarely corresponded with the actual page number of the document. At first, I was convinced that there was some kind of bizarre software compatibility issue. She had written this essay on a MacBook at home and used Pages, and then tried to print it on a PC. That must be it, right? I ask her as much. She seems confused. She insists that she wrote the essay on Word document. Not Microsoft Word, but Word document, the program. She claimed her IT guy at work had told her this. I was forced to assume that this unfortunate man had tried to inform her of the difference between a program and a file. A confusing and eldritch distinction which had undoubtedly proven far too much for Kavina's simple mind. Lucky me, Kavina had an electronic copy of the essay on her. After wrestling with the formatting issues, I was finally able to get a peek at what Kavina apparently thought passed for writing. The paper consisted entirely of disjointed sentences that were vaguely related to the topic at hand, and which rarely followed any semblance of grammar. The paper frequently went into digressions about the author's personal life. The paper was a book review that had nothing to do with the actual topic of the book. In short, the paper was written as if a textbook had gotten sick and vomited words from vaguely related chapters onto its pages. Sometime later, I ended up discussing this paper with a graduate student friend of mine, who laughed. "Well, at least it's not plagiarized," they said. I laughed in response. I laughed some more. Then, I abruptly stopped laughing. Somewhere in the writhing mass of words was a set of sentences which just seemed too coherent. Surely, I thought, I'm just being paranoid. There was no way Kavina had actually researched the material well enough to have found a way to plagiarize. I pull the paper up on my computer, find the phrase in question, and pop it into Google. Sure enough, a full 3 sentences of the paper had been lifted straight from a newspaper's review of the book. No citation, no credit, no nothing. I immediately call Kavina up and call her to let her know what she's done could have extremely serious long-term consequences. She then argues with me, claiming that since her professor told her she didn't have to cite her sources, she would be okay. It took at least an hour of convincing for her to finally back down. Last I heard, Kavina has a writing tutor. She's told me that the tutor claims he's seen worse writing. I'm not sure if he's being nice or if that's actually true. Frankly, either possibility horrifies me. Is secondary education just like a joke? How does someone like that get a bachelor's degree just for the hell of it? And yeah, plagiarism is a bad thing. Yeah, don't do it. In school, I always did pretty well. I enjoyed school. I enjoyed class. I enjoyed writing essays because I'd always find some way to make it kind of funny while also not completely, ruining the tone of an essay that an essay should have. And I'm proud of that, okay? However, one time in 8th grade, back when I went to good old Swink Junior Senior High School in Colorado, we watched a movie called 12 Angry Men, and it's a really good movie. I liked it. Basically, it's a movie illustrating the jury process and how serious it can be. And there was only one person that was actually trying to take the job seriously because there was a person's life on the line here. Everyone thought he was guilty, and they all voted that except for one person. And in case you don't know, when it comes to capital punishment, it's gotta be unanimous on the kill order, I guess. At least that's what I think it is. Anyways, it's not really relevant. I enjoyed the movie, and we had to write a one-page thing on how we felt about the movie or something like that. And I just didn't want to do it, and so I straight up just pulled a freaking paper off the internet and turned it in. And I got a 0 on it. She's like, it's straight up plagiarism. And I kind of felt bad about it, but in reality, it's not a huge deal. It was just 8th grade. However, and this is a big deal because it's for her master's degree. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed my soupy, chunky word vomit, and have a good day, y'all. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell to never miss an episode.